My name is Dr. Ian Storch. I'm a board-certified gastroenterologist and osteopathic physician, and you are listening to DO or Do Not. If you're interested in joining our team or have suggestions or comments, please contact us at doordonotpodcast.com. Share our link with your friends and like us on Apple Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hi, my name is Jeevan Ambat, and I'm a third-year student at the Alabama College of Osteopathic Medicine, and you're listening to DO or Do Not. On today's episode, we interview Dr. Angela Franklin, who is the president and CEO of Des Moines University. For those of you who don't know, Des Moines University Medical and Health Sciences Division is home of the second osteopathic school to open up in the United States and the 15th largest medical school in the country. Dr. Franklin, the dean of the university, is a licensed clinical psychologist who completed her PhD in clinical psychology at Emory University, followed by a clinical internship at Grady Memorial Hospital. Our conversation with Dr. Franklin touches on several topics, including her roles and responsibilities as president and CEO of DMU, along with more general topics such as the importance of opportunity and preparation for life's challenges. For our pre-medical listeners, medical students, and members of the medical community, Dr. Franklin shares pearls of wisdom that you won't want to miss. Without further ado, here is Dr. Angela Franklin.
Welcome to the DO or Do Not podcast. Today we have Dr. Franklin who's going to be talking with us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
For our pre-medical students who are listening to our podcast, so can you tell us about Des Moines University?
Well, Des Moines University is the seventh name change, which started out as the second DO school in the country. Kirksville, of course, is the first, and after being trained at Kirksville, the nephew of A.T. Still, Summerfield Still, relocated to build a campus in Des Moines, Iowa. So he was trained first at Still in Kirksville and then moved to Des Moines to open up a second campus site. So we were still college in those early years, and 123 years later, we've had several name changes. We were called COMS, the College of Osteopathic Medicine and Surgery, for a while. Then we were called UOMS, the University of Osteopathic Medicine and Surgery. And then at the 100th anniversary of the founding of the school, we were renamed Des Moines University. People knew us as the Des Moines School, Des Moines still, but we were branded as Des Moines University in 1998. We were founded in 1898. So we've been Des Moines University for that period of time now, and still have the history of being the second oldest DO school. We have now some additional colleges, so not just the DO program, which of course the first and the oldest and the largest. We have 220 DO students in a class, and we have two other colleges as well, a College of Health Sciences and a College of Podiatric Medicine and Sciences as well.
Can you describe to us a little bit about the surrounding location and the area of the university?
Des Moines is in Des Moines. Des Moines University is in Des Moines, Iowa, the capital city of the state of Iowa. Of course, I'm not an Iowan, so when I first heard of the opportunity to go there, my first instinct was cornfields, maybe pork production. Wasn't really sure what kind of a city I would see, but I've been pleasantly surprised. I've been there now 11 years as president and came as a South Carolinian, not quite sure what it'd be like to live in the Midwest, but it is a metropolitan city. It has all the amenities with a small town feel. Having lived in Atlanta and Nashville before coming to Des Moines, I was pleasantly surprised at this sense of metropolitan area with a small town feel. So you can get anywhere around town within 15-20 minutes, which is unheard of in big cities.
I understand that Des Moines is a private university, so can you tell us what that means and if there's pros and cons when compared to like a public university?
Right. Public universities typically are funded by the state, and so there's some advantages to being public in that respect, that you get state support. Private universities are just that. You're responsible for your own funding. We don't get state support to fund our institution. If we're lucky, and sometimes we are, we get some small grants that are funded through the state. But the advantage of being private for us has always been the ability to shape our own path and create our own government structure. So we have a self-appointed board that comes from alumni and other business leaders that govern the overall operations of the institution and hires and selects the president. Whereas on the state public system side, there's normally a board of regents that may be appointed politically from the office of the governor. So there are less political constraints in a private and more freedom to grow an enterprise without some of those extra layers of bureaucracy that comes along from state-supported institutions. Advantages and disadvantages depending on how you look at it.
Right. From a general and academic perspective, what do you think makes Des Moines University special, and why should a student consider going there over other schools?
Well, at Des Moines University, I think not only is it has a long history of excellence in the health sciences, being one of the first two DO schools, we have a track record of excellence that spans that 120-year history. We also pride ourselves on really focusing on quality of the educational experience, not quantity. We may be one of very few of the DO schools out there that have the focus on branching and building class sizes and putting up new sites everywhere, because we want to make sure that our students got the richest, best educational experience. So with the class size of 220, there's already a large class size. What's most important for me as president is to make sure that every one of those students in the DO program, in addition to the other students that are clinical students, we're all clinical, have the rich experience of being able to be placed for their rotations, to make sure we have those hospital affiliations secured so that they don't have to worry about where they go for that third-year clerkship or that fourth-year experience, so they can then have those wonderful opportunities for training because we have those secured in those partnerships so that they can continue to move forward in their career. So it was more important for me as a new president coming in 2011 to focus on that, on the quality of the experience, as opposed to growing an enterprise. Now, 10 years later, in this next phase of my journey as president, we're actually relocating the campus. So what's exciting right now today about Des Moines University is that we were located on a 20-acre plot of land downtown Des Moines. So we were in the city of Des Moines, landlocked in a residential community with very little opportunity to grow. So if I were to add any other new degree program or expand facilities, it would be a problem because we were landlocked. To my surprise, my board of trustees supported relocating the entire campus. So we purchased 88 acres of land, farmland out in West Des Moines, 9 miles from current campus to the new campus site. They were harvesting corn on this land just a few years ago. We bought 88 acres of land, which will be the new home of Des Moines University. So we have a brand new campus coming out of the ground as we speak today with all the amenities. My focus has always been about the quality of the experience, but now we can talk about innovation, how we reimagine medical education, what's new on the horizon in terms of how medicine is delivered and healthcare is delivered, but how do we then best train our students to be able to evolve and work in an environment that's emerging. All the new emerging technologies, the manner in which we teach. You're probably getting anatomy classes now with using cadavers, but there's augmented virtual reality, a lot of the new technologies that are really advancing medical education. We're building all those new innovative technologies into our campus. So our campus site is coming out of the ground. We've been building it for a year now. We should be ready to move into our new campus in 2023. So about a year from now, which means that students coming in 2023 will be at our new campus site, and we're building out on about 30 acres of the center of the campus, which means we have another 50 acres of land that I will hand off to the next president, some years from now, to continue to grow the university.
You mentioned a little bit of third and fourth year students having clinical rotations. So what are the affiliates with Des Moines University, and what types of hospitals do the students rotate through?
Right. We are only one of 2 medical schools in the state of Iowa. University of Iowa, which is an allopathic institution and state supported, of course. And then there's Des Moines University. So we're in the capital city, Des Moines. University of Iowa is in Iowa City. University of Iowa has the Iowa hospital systems there that the majority of their students get to rotate through. Some of them do come to Des Moines, but in the capital city of Des Moines, there are three major hospital systems. There's Mercy One, there's Unity Point, and then there's also Broadlawns, which is sort of the safety net county hospital. And then we have a VA hospital. So those four systems partner with the university. So we have opportunities through those partnerships for our students to rotate, for their third year experiences and elective experiences within the city. We also have contractual arrangements for our students to go outside of the city as well. So our Dean of Com, for instance, works on all of those partnerships, those affiliations, to make sure we have all of those rich experiences for all of our third year, and then opportunities for our fourth year students to go. Our fourth year students also go to University of Iowa to actually do elective experiences there as well. And that's a relatively new opportunity that just recently happened.
Well, most of the time we're interviewing DO physicians, but can you tell us a little bit about your personal journey and how that eventually aligned with osteopathic medicine?
Okay, yeah. Well, it's an interesting story for me because I'm a clinical psychologist, PhD, and I started out on the faculty of a medical school, Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia. So right out of grad school at Emory, I had an opportunity to join the faculty. So I taught behavioral sciences, the first and second year medical student, psychopathology. I did those courses in the beginning of my career. And being a faculty member was an exciting opportunity, but I also was a psychologist, so I was able to build my practice as a clinical psychologist. And I did clinical psychology, so I did hospital-based psychiatric care. So for that first period of my career, I was a faculty member, the usual route, tenure focus approach to doing teaching, research, service to the university. Around my second or third year there, I had an opportunity to start working on some committees and then got appointed to being an assistant dean for admissions. So fast forward 20 years later, to my surprise, I ended up being more of an administrator, not just a faculty member, and loved it. Loved it way more than I thought. Along the way, I got to be a dean of students. So I was a dean of students. I wrote the dean's letters, the MSPE now, for medical students at Morehouse School of Medicine. Then I went on to Meharry Medical College, also historically black health sciences university, both allopathic, and was provost there, which is the chief academic officer, chief operations officer as well. So along the way, I always imagined perhaps an aspiration to be a college president, but as a PhD in every other institution I've been in, there have been position presidents. I thought, well, maybe I would be pursuing a presidency in a different type institution. To my surprise, Des Moines University, which had history of PhDs and DOs as president over the years, in that 100-plus year history, were looking for someone just like me. That's what they told me. They found me and got recruited because they were looking for someone with experience in medical education and the health sciences. And they found me because I was in another search. So I got recruited to Des Moines University. The interesting irony for me in terms of my own personal journey to college presidency is the fact that as a psychologist, we actually think of mind, body, soul, and the body's ability to heal itself. So the basic principles that I ascribe to as a psychologist fits in nicely with the DO profession and osteopathy. So the irony is that I landed in an institution that I never thought I'd be leading, giving service to an organization and a philosophy that fits in line with my philosophy of the body's ability to heal itself and a whole focus on prevention and wellness that makes sense for me personally and professionally now. So 10 years at Des Moines University, I've had an opportunity to really shape a campus community that really values health and wellness and prevention and this holistic approach, patient-centered care, compassion, the body's ability to heal itself, and the power of the touch, muscle energy. So in a lot of ways, bringing my personal perspective and my training as a psychologist and those listening skills that comes along with that to a leadership role in a health sciences university made sense. I didn't see it initially, and I often tell students and others that I advise and some of my mentees, don't pigeonhole yourself. Think about opportunities as they are presented and sort of go with that, because if I had closed my mind to the idea of maybe being a president of such a university, I wouldn't be doing what I do today. So it's been a real calling for me in my own sort of spiritual journey to land in an institution that has all of these values and a group of individuals that really have gotten on board with focusing on the vision of this institution. So a lot of excitement there now, especially now that we can build our campus from the ground up.
What are your primary roles and responsibilities as the president and CEO of the university? And what are your main interactions with the students?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll talk about the student interaction first. And I think I mentioned along the way I was Dean of Students, and it was that time that I was at Morehouse School of Medicine I got to be Dean of Students. And there are a lot of physicians out there practicing today that were my students that, I have a lot of joy in seeing them, and I stay connected with all of them. So I have a real passion for the relationship that I established as a faculty member and a dean of students. I sort of sees them transition to become the physicians that they are today. I joke with my students at Morehouse that it was hard for me to leave because I, as an admissions person, got to be the one to welcome them. And also, because I was a mace bearer at commencement, I got to call them doctor as they marched across the stage. So I've always had a love and passion for seeing the students and their journey get to that point. So a love of interacting with students has been a part of it. As president, I try to always find a way to stay connected with students. It's really important for me to build that kind of relationship, with our students. So wherever they are, I try to show up. So whether they're volunteering in the community, they're doing activities on campus, I like to have an opportunity to build that relationship with students, and they know they can come to me, they can email me, and I respond. So having a relationship with students is a particularly important aspect of what I do. That sort of grounds me. Yeah, it's our reason for being. We wouldn't be there if it were not for the purpose of training, educating, and preparing the next generation of health professionals. So I have a lot of value in the relationships that I place still today. More limited than when I was a dean of students, but that's our reason for being. So being able to stay connected with students is important to me. So being out on campus, out interacting with them, or them knowing that they can come knock on the door and come in and sit. I used to have lunches with students on a regular basis pre-COVID days. We would have time that I would try to interact with students that way, invite them for lunch or buy lunch for them. So that's real important to me. As far as my role overall as president and CEO, of course, I answer to my board of trustees. They're the individuals that hire and select a president. So I answer to them, but my main objective is to make sure we have sort of a synergistic relationship between, so me being the bridge between our board, our governing board, and the rest of the campus community. So I take my role very seriously, that I'm the glue that keeps it going and make sure that everything works well on behalf of the board and my leaders there, but also being able to fulfill the mission of the university, which is vital to our success. So I have overall responsibility for every aspect of that. Just given my style and approach to leadership, it's more collaborative. Probably have more direct reports than many of my colleagues who are also presidents in other universities. Traditional universities are more hierarchical, and there's a president and it sort of fans out. I have more of a flat organizational structure by design. Some on the surface would see that is it collaborative or is it micromanaging? And if you are a part of our culture at DMU, with Dean sitting on that executive leadership team as well as other leaders, the focus is me as president being able to empower everyone to do their job. So key leaders have a real responsibility to lead and be responsible. So that Dean of Com, for instance, has full authority to run Com. But that Dean of Com gets to interact with the person over HR, the finance person, the other deans of the other universities, the person over enrollment. Every aspect of the university sits at a table, and they all kind of report to me to a great extent, the way the org chart is drawn, but they have to be accountable to each other. Right. So it sort of lifts this idea of, it depends on who you report to we're all in this together. And we all have a role to play, and it doesn't matter where lines are in terms of reporting. It's functions to make sure we all achieve the goals of the institution. So that works for us. During COVID, I think a lot of universities shifted to a team-based approach to doing things. We were already there. We were already functioning in a more collaborative way of operating. And I think, if you were to talk to some of the people who are part of that structure at DMU, it's a comfortable existence because everyone has ownership, everyone feels empowered, but everyone also believes in the mission and the vision of the university.
So you described such a unique experience
Yeah.
into getting where you are today. So what's a piece of advice that you received throughout your journey that you would pass on to aspiring osteopathic students and physicians?
Oh gosh, I've had so many, I have several mentors along the way, and I think the one thing that resonates the most with me as I pursue this journey, given I'm in a role that I might not have initially thought I would be doing. So I always tell students and others that I talk to keep an open mind, have plan B, C, D, and E, and be okay if it doesn't necessarily turn out the way you had initially envisioned. But be true to yourself. Understand what your own desires and motivations and understanding sort of your own personal vision for yourself. Come to terms with that. Be very introspective to see who your authentic self really is. And then go with that and be comfortable in your own skin. Because sometimes we try things on for size and we think about this and think about this profession. Maybe I want to be a surgeon. Maybe I want to be a pediatrician. I see students in medical education struggling sometimes with their identity. But if you stay true to yourself and your own convictions, it always tends to work out in one way or the other. And you ultimately will be successful if you define success as being happy and secure and comfortable with who you are and feeling you're really being of service to others. So that mind, body, soul is key to that in terms of being centered and comfortable with who you are, because mental illness is a real thing. And being stressed out and anxious about where you're going and what your life journey will be actually does more harm than good, as opposed to being comfortable within yourself and knowing that you're going to make the best decision with the advice that you can get to be able to move one step at a time. And you'll look back and realize, wow, I've moved along in this journey in a way that maybe surprises me, but it's how comfortable you are in that. And feeling okay if maybe I didn't go this way, but I went that way, still got to a successful place in my career.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your thoughts and your advice on that, and I appreciate it. I know other students will find that helpful as well.
Okay.
So, Dr. Franklin, thank you so much for being with us here today. We appreciate your time and your thoughts, and I hope students will be able to use this in the future and consider when they're thinking about their futures as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
This concludes our episode of Do or Do Not. Send all inquiries, comments, suggestions, and even let us know if there is someone you want us to interview to doordonotpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at Do or Do Not Podcast for updates. If you enjoyed our podcast, please share it with your classmates and administration. We have plenty of more interviews lined up, and we're excited to share them with you. This is Tian Yu Shea. Thank you guys so much for listening to Do or Do Not.